Hello, Mark. We are live from High Springs in my barn office. Yay. I just figured I'd give you a video to, I don't know, try and entertain your ass a little bit. Maybe less boring. Look, B-52 parts. That's called a horn button. That's from the center of the control yoke. Amazingly, every time one of those airplanes came back from depot level maintenance in Oklahoma City, these things disappeared. I don't know how, they just did. That is the bailout warning light from the, I believe this came from the navigator station of one that was getting decommissioned and is now on static display in Australia, one that I worked on at Guam. More stuff and things. You know, I gotta say, I'm hand holding this camera. I bought this nice 3D axis gimbal here, but the mount here with this camera case on here, this media kit with the microphone and everything, do you think they would have a mounting screw that would fit given the case makes the camera smaller? It's one of these guys, these little screws here. It's a M5 by 0.8 by 15 to 18 millimeters. No, everything I have that I bought for the GoPro with this stuff on the end, it all interferes with the case when I mount it on this gimbal, because, you know, that's how things are. This meter actually probably looks familiar to you, but this did not come from Dad. This came from a friend of mine who unfortunately passed away a month or so ago. This came out of the UF Radio Observatory. I don't know if you can read that. He who removes this meter shall have his lips removed. I thought that was kind of cool. Apparently this one still works, and I gotta say, it's in a little better condition than the one, or the ones that I got from Dad's garage and basement. What else we got here? We got some dipole antennas built for Radio Joe kits. That's what all this coax coiled up here is. I got to put some F connectors on there. And I got some, I don't know if this rack was in here when you were here or not. There's some radio astronomy stuff in there. Same old stuff that you've seen before, I think. Wish there was a way to keep this back screen on. Yeah, there probably is, but, you know, am I intelligent enough to read the manual and figure out how to do that? Nah. Out here in the fun zone, we got the Tundra. I've decided to pull the transmission to see about getting rid of the squeakage on that throwout bearing that you heard while you were down here. And we got all kind of parts and stuff and things here. Transmission bolts, starter, clutch slave cylinder, clutch accumulator. This thing, I don't even know what Toyota was thinking. This thing just is basically an orifice that lets you disengage the clutch as rapidly as possible, but when you go to engage it, it won't release the pressure on the slave cylinder rapidly. It does it slowly. I guess it's for people who have trouble using a stick shift and can't feather the clutch and release it slowly. Anyway, I bought a little aftermarket kit that bypasses the orifice in here, so your clutch pedal actually controls the pressure in the slave cylinder. Imagine, that's incredible. Let me get you under here. As you can see, you had to take apart pretty much the whole exhaust system, including the exhaust manifold on the right side. And as I don't know, I hope you can see that, the studs are kind of crunchy. And it looks like the forward lower stud gave somebody who pulled this transmission before a little bit of a hard time, because that's a new stud. And I am damn glad I used Aerocroil on all these studs before I pulled them out. They all broke free. No problems, nothing broke. So, yeah, yay Aerocoil, because I did not want to be replacing a stud or chasing threads in an aluminum block, because I'd probably screw them up. But we got the new clutch disc and pressure plate in. Hopefully my clutch alignment tool got that thing centered up. I got a pin here, right there, and another pin right here. Now hopefully when the input shaft goes here, those pins will, rotate the transmission. Hopefully they'll go in. Otherwise you gotta fight like mad. Wire wheel cleaned all these flanges up real good. One thing I wanted to note was this truck is older than the 68 was when I was driving it in high school. And this thing is, this is pristine. Now, a lot of that has to do with no salt, living in Florida its entire life, but it's got 250,000 miles on it. And none of this stuff's been replaced. This is the OEM exhaust. Believe it or not, OEM brake lines. OEM fuel lines here. And you can see a little bit of rust there. Oops, let me get the screen back. Come on. Okay, there we go. Now I can see what I'm shooting. Now, a little rust on the fuel line bracket there, and a little rust on the inside where the cross member for the transmission sits. Let me back up without banging my head. That holds this bracket here, and there holds the cross member for the tail shaft of the transmission. But I have to think, even this sheet metal, it's like brand fucking new. Same with the sound deadening. And the heat shields here, the thing's got 4 catalytic converters, so there's plenty of heat shielding. Apparently it does its job. Hello up inside the truck. Anyway, let me get out of here. I think we're done in here. I have to wonder if the metallurgy and just the surface treatment, like the paint or whatever they stick on here, isn't better than it was back in the 1960s. We hear about how cheaply paint is made now compared to the way paint was made back then, but I don't know, man. This Toyota did something right, at least on this truck. But of course, that's always balanced out with them doing shit wrong. This nice, clean looking unit is the transmission that came out of the truck. This rather scungy, oxidized, crunchy looking unit is one we got last time we had this problem back in 2018. I had a lot of work done on the truck. We got this transmission, we never used it, so I've just held on to it. And I'm glad I did. This guy is basically worn out. You've got down here in the tail shaft, you got the bushing for the yoke. It's worn. You see all this schmutz in here. But more telling, this plastic oil slinger, and this is the Speedo gear which rides in this tail shaft. Speedo gear sits like that. On that transmission over there, that outside might be looking crunchy, but the inside, all the plastic is still pure white, like brand new. The tail shaft bushing isn't worn, but most importantly, the nose piece that surrounds the input shaft right here on this old transmission, that's smooth front to back. On that old transmission, that is gouged to hell and back. And I think that's what was causing the squeak. Because as this throwout bearing was riding up and down that shaft, it was cocking this way or that way, whatever. There's no way. It doesn't stay straight. You know, it's only got let's see, which one's which. I really don't remember here. I think that's the pivot point, and that's where the slave cylinder goes in. Or, no, that's the pivot point. That's where the slave cylinder goes in. Or vice versa. I don't, whatever. You get the idea. So there's nothing to keep it from going like this. There's nothing that keeps it straight, which is a good thing. It'll always remain lined up with the pressure plate, but it may not stay lined up with this guy right here, and you can see there is some wear there. There's witness marks there showing something was riding on there, but you can't catch your fingernail on it. You can't feel any height difference. And before I put that back together, I'm going to take some Scotch-Brite to it and clean it up. This guy, on the other hand, I'm not going to bother tipping it over. I got parts and everything all over here, but the original aluminum tube, which unfortunately is a single piece with this entire bell housing, which isn't just a bell housing, it's actually the front of the transmission case. So buy a new transmission. You can't just buy the front case, front part. It's worn. It is way worn. Even this metal sleeve, which was an aftermarket repair to try and make them not squeak, it got worn too. Even though you get a different size throwout bearing, it's slightly larger to fit the sleeve, but in this being steel, it still didn't work. I don't know. I'm throwing it back together with this other older transmission, which has way fewer miles on it, obviously, and an OEM throwout bearing, because that old bearing is too big for this non-sleeved transmission. And we'll see what happens. I did spring for the proper lubricant for that snout. We call it release hub grease. Hey, I don't know what it's made out of. Unicorn grindings and farts and, I don't know, dingleberries, whatever. But if it makes it not squeak, I'm all for it. The other thing, the whole reason that I discovered that one was all browned up and worn out on the inside was because one of the problems Toyota had with these transmissions, you see down in there, that's where the shifter goes, in that very bottom cylinder in there. Well, the little plastic bushing, here's the original shifter. This bushing, this little plastic gizmo, goes down in there. That destroyed itself in about 4 or 5 years after I owned after the truck was new, bought it new. And it just gets all kind of plastic shavings and gunk down in there. I had a mechanic, just a couple doors down from the shop at the time. He had hired a mechanic away from the Toyota dealer. She changed that out in a day. It was a really easy job for him. And apparently Toyota had a service bulletin on it because this new bushing and the new bushing they put in my, Toyota calls it, it's not a tail shaft, it's an extension housing. The new bushings that this came off of my old transmission, that worked. Because in 150, maybe 175,000 miles since they've changed that, it hasn't worn one bit. Obviously, that's still it, the one they changed. Whereas the one that came with this guy, I don't even know where it is now, but it's a right POS. There was nothing left of that bushing, so I had to bring all that from the old trans over to the new one, and then discovered how clean this was on the inside, happily. So I'm hoping, cross fingers. On the downside, when I pulled the drain plug on this, there was a little bit of metal shavings collected there. On this one, there were no metal shavings. But that might be because I only had that throwout bearing changed, I don't know, 5,000-10,000 miles ago. So of course there's probably no wear on it. This guy probably hadn't had the drain plug changed ever. So maybe that little bit of shavings is normal. I don't know, or normal enough. And we're gonna test it though. We're gonna slap it together and see what we see. Hi, sweetie. Say hi to Mark.
Hi, Mark. Bye.
I'll be in a bit, sweetie.
Okay. Love you. Bye.
Love you too. Well, that was Tracy. Nice impromptu little visit. Anyway, let's see what else we got going here. Oh, yeah, that's sad. This whole cart is full of stuff that I inherited from my friend Wes. Don't know if you ever met him. Don't think you did. But he passed a month and a half ago. He was an engineer at the UF Radio Observatory for 40 years. Guy knew more about radio astronomy than I'll ever know. But apparently I was in his will to inherit all his stuff. So I ended up with basically everything in his garage and in his workshop, and now I've got to find a home for it here. Which is actually what I've been doing. I'm finally combining all my stuff. I'm finding like, oh, I got 9 pairs of freaking vice grips now. I got tons of zip ties, just stuff that was in 6 different places. Now that I have room to have a home for everything, what I'm doing is putting shelves above these workbenches. There's going to be one at this level. Whoops. Camera going out again. One at this level and one even with the purlin up there. You can see where I've already installed one of the brackets, and then the weather got hot, and then I got sidetracked with other projects, and that was that. But we're going to run 2 shelves 16 inches deep all the way down here and all the way along those walls. Underneath that is going to be a bunch of those steel slot walls, those things. Going to be a bunch of these. I've got 10 or 12 of them. And 2 of them fit just perfect in these 5-foot bays. And all these little plastic bins. And that's between the shelves and the bins. It's going to let these workbenches be workbenches instead of storage benches. And that's what all this cut up steel is. I went up to Lake City to the company that built this building. And they sold me a bunch of that and the self-drilling screws and the brackets. These here are the steel brackets to put them up. That's half of them. The other half are over here with the stuff and the things. You know, that. Yeah, there they are. With the drill I was using to put the bracket up. Right there, and there's a bucket of the screws. What do we got here? Oh, this is the 1.25" PVC and a pipe bender and a heater blanket. I'm going to make some sweep bends in this with Y's and these big ass brass expensive ball valves so that I can have the north or south pump house drive either the irrigation system or the house or both, depending on what I want, which pump to drive what. It's going to take 4 or 5 ball valves to do that. But I didn't want to use 90s and T's because that really impedes flow. So I want to make some nice sweep bends in this. And I guess I'll do a video on that now that I've finally gotten this video thing up and running. Oh, yeah, maybe I'll get the little gimbal working so you're not, I mean, the software stabilization on this actually doesn't do too bad, but it, you know, might be better with that. And did I mention this already? I think this is the Foreman Place gasket, the FIPG, the Toyota recommends when you put the transmission back together. I don't know if it's anything different than Orange RTV, I would kind of suspect it is, or maybe it's not. All I know is it's 25 bucks a tube because, Toyota, Japan. But it's the stuff called for in the manual, and I figured, I don't know, gear oil and RTV, I'd use Permatex number 2, but I don't think Permatex number 2 is the right thing for that, and I don't know that Permatex number 2 does well with oil. Chevys leak oil all the freaking time, so we put everything together with Permatex number 2, so do the math. I'm not a fan of RTV on cars, though, so I don't know. Hopefully that's special RTV. And do you have any idea what this is? I have no freaking clue what this came in the bottle with this. The only thing I can think is you put a bead down and then you use that curved edge at some angle and scrape it to give you some kind of perfect height, minimal amount of sealant, whatever, keeping it with it. But hopefully this tube won't go bad. Got shrink, plastic stretched over it. Either that or I guess it just cost me 25 bucks to do those 2 units and put them back together. What else we got going in here? Not much. I mean, it's pretty much the same that you saw before. I will say something about this. I got that. That's the original one. I don't know if this was here. I think this was still here when you were here. Maybe not. I haven't put the top box on this yet because I've discovered I really, really, really like having this roll around flat workbench. This is all the sockets I've been using for the Tundra over here. And they normally go on the shelf down below there behind the oil tank. But just having a workbench that's movable is kind of nice. I mean, the carts, these metal carts that I had made up, these are super freaking handy. We must have, I don't know, 12 or 13 of them over at work between the 2 companies. So I had 3 made for here. Oh yeah, there's my 3rd one with all my tools on it over there. They're super handy, but just for, something a little higher, yeah, that's nice. So I thought, I'll go to Harbor Freight. I'll get another one. Yeah, wrong. I guess Harbor Freight's coming out with a new line. They're moving from Series 2 to Series 3. And I want a 72-inch wide bottom box. This here is about 56 or 60, so I'll end up with not as a sidecar, but a single box, 6 feet wide. That'd be a perfect bench to work on and store other stuff, and then I'll have this as a up and down box, just like the other one over here. You can't get them to save your ass right now. The Series 2s, the bottom box, 72-inch wide, was $1,200. Well worth the money. The Series 3s that are supposed to be out but aren't out, they're $1,800. So yeah, inflation, whatever. I'd love to find a bottom one, and maybe eBay, I don't know. We'll see. I would really rather have a new one because I don't want somebody else's beat to shit POS. I am impressed with these U.S. General boxes. It is one thing Harbor Freight, to their credit, has really done well. I mean, this thing is, for what I do, even if I was still working on airplanes, I would have one of these over a Snap-on box any day of the week. For that set right there, you'd probably pay, what, $8-10 grand to a Snap-on dealer. Probably more, actually, these days. That whole unit there, I paid $1,500 for because I bought it 2 years ago before inflation started kicking in. Now I guess I'm going to have to wait until the Series 3 bottom boxes come out, and then I'll stack this up and do whatever. But I don't know if you saw over here in hose and electrical land, everything, all the things that got hung up. I'm really impressed with these E-Go battery-powered units. Those things are neater than sliced bread. No trying to pull start some internal combustion 50cc motor. You push the button, they just go. The lithium-ion batteries are great. They last a long time. Give them 2 thumbs up for those. Oh yeah. Here's one of the fans that I replaced the cord on. I had to drill out the bigger hole, but I got a 20-foot cord on this fan now that goes all the way from here all the way over to the fan, which is really, really handy. Why they can't put longer cords on them from the factory, I don't know. It seems pretty stupid not to do that. Here's more of the Radio Jove radio astronomy kits that I sell. Some coax to make more of those kits along with the antennas you saw in there. Getting a little sparse out here, but that's why I got the parts sitting in the office ready to box up some more and get them back in stock on the shelf. And over here we got bolt land and screw land. This stuff will all be freed up once I get the slat walls or slot walls installed on the workbenches, which will happen after the shelves go up, which happens after I paint everything with that white oil-based paint, that porch and patio paint. And then I can get these nice vices installed in a place other than over here where they're not doing anybody any good. That's all the leftover tile. Intentional attic stock. If we ever have to repair something in the house, we got plenty of tile. Plus being a tile guy, that, you know, it'd be really embarrassing to say, oh, I'm a tile guy. I didn't think ahead to have extra tile for the future, because nothing ever breaks in a house, and you never have to peel up a tile to repair something under the floor. No, that never happens. Then we got Toyota parts land over here. All my air filters and oil filters, and Ford land right there, and fuel land, and I don't know, whatever. Lubrication land over here kind of is the way it's turned out too. But I'm still organizing this. It's not there yet by any stretch of the imagination. But, you know, you got to work on it, work and use it while you're building stuff. Thank goodness the weather finally got colder. I'll be able to get the shelves up, be able to get this stuff up, get it painted. That'll free up a lot of space. That's just going to make everything nicer. But man, during the summer, you come out here even at midnight, you're sweating your balls off trying to do anything out here. It's just not worth it. Oh yeah, I just put this up yesterday. It's just a TV on a what do they call that, a Visa mount. It's just mounted to one of the studs in the wall. I figure I'll run an HDMI cable from there just over the top and down through the wall and into that computer that's at the desk, and I can sit there, I don't know, watch YouTube videos or whatever, play music. The Bose system up there, you can see the one little speaker on the left there, right there, and then the head unit and the other speaker on top up there. That thing that'll rock this barn out. I was using this little guy before, which actually sounds way better than it looks. It produces an impressive sound. Of course, not as good as a $3,000 Bose system, but it's for what it is. Those, I can get my screen back. Those I highly recommend. You just want something a little portable, just jam a memory stick in it and go. They're rechargeable, USB-C, boom, done. Nice. Well, that's about it, Mark. I don't know what else to distract you with, but here we are, and that's what we're doing. And I'll try to do another video after I get the transmission stabbed in. I'm kind of discovering I'm a little like one of our favorite guys. I really don't like doing a video while I'm working. While I'm working, I just want to work. Just, you know, get it done. Unless I'm doing something that I've done a million times and I'm trying to train somebody on, but I haven't done this before, so I'm not going to probably video while we're stabbing it in. We'll see how many cuss words it takes to get that lined up. I'm not looking forward to it, but hey, maybe I'll get lucky and it'll go right in. Yeah, maybe I'll win the lottery too, but oh well. So anyway, I'll take another video tomorrow and append it to this one and then send it off to you. But have a good day for now. See ya.